now we have discussed. All right. Now we spoke a lot about regulations and what will happen in the ecosystem, EU and Germany. But what is actually the ecosystem? And since we're here in Berlin, I'm very, very happy to welcome one of the most active networkers here in the ecosystem. Charlotte Seiler is AI Innovation Manager of Berlin Partner, and she's responsible of connecting companies, startups, researchers, everybody in the context of AI and helping us to actually talk to each other. So she will tell us more about the AI ecosystem in Berlin. Please give her a warm welcome.
Great. Thank you very much for that introduction. And I'm very happy to be able to speak here. Although I cannot see any of you, I'm very happy to meet you all, and there will be room for questions afterwards. I'm Charlotte. I'm AI Innovation Manager at Berlin Partner. And just to give you a short introduction about AI in Berlin, there will be 15 minutes of deep dive into Berlin's AI ecosystem. So Berlin is a creative metropolis, is also a startup hub and a place for innovative technology as well as science. Berlin is one of the most dynamic economic regions in Germany. And Berlin Partner is the local economic development agency. So within Berlin Partner, we have many different clusters. I'm part of the cluster ICT, Media and Creative Industry, where we support the growth of the digital economy in Berlin, especially in future-oriented sectors such as energy, healthcare, and mobility industries. Berlin also has a growing AI landscape. It's becoming an international AI hub with major companies, but also startups and research institutions advancing the development of application of cutting edge technology. So there's not only research here, but there's also a lot of doing, a lot of application in Berlin on bigger scale, but also on smaller scales with many startups coming up. Over the past years, we were able to initiate many innovation projects, and Berlin has turned into a leading AI hub, not only within Germany, but also internationally. So we've been able to attract a lot of international attention and also talent to this city. Just to give you a brief overview, within Berlin, I mean, it's been 2 cities before, so we always have everything double, and also many universities within the research field, everything is kind of double size. So we have many universities over here doing research in AI, such as the Technological University, but also FU and HU. Then we have the newly formed AI Learning Center Bifold, which is also looking into a lot of education and combining it with research. And many other research institutes, such as Fraunhofer or also DFKI, looking to advance AI innovation technology, putting them in contact with applications. And also in the health sector, this very big, that's like one of the major stakeholders in Berlin, the Charité Berlin, advancing AI research a lot. So this is just to give you an idea. It's always a lot happening in Berlin, and managing an ecosystem like that isn't easy. It's quite challenging, but I think we've gone quite far. And just looking at the corporate landscape, so we have, on the one hand, we have a lot of research institutes. On the other hand, big companies moving their AI innovation labs to Berlin, such as Amazon or also Hella Glaya. Then also in the startup world, or I have to say scale up maybe, Merantix furthering AI, also venture building. And then in the application field, just major startups such as Ada Health, for example. And overall, there are more than 220 AI companies currently in the region. So region always also implies Brandenburg. So yeah, it's a big network. If we look at, or if we compare Berlin and Brandenburg to Germany, we can see, I mean, it shows in this graphic that nearly 30% of German AI companies are located in Berlin. That means that we're actually one of the major hubs for AI. And I think that also explains why it's gotten so much attention over the last years and why it's constantly growing, because as you know, talent attracts talent. Looking into the different areas of applications, so obviously there's a lot of research in Berlin being conducted in AI in different fields, but if we look at where is it actually applied, there's a major stronghold in like in business intelligence and business process management applications. So that's 36%. Then the other main pillar would be health. So all AI health applications, as I was saying, also furthered, for example, by Charité and many other application areas here. They're around 10% of the AI ecosystem over here. And then next big thing would be mobility. Obviously, always one of our, I mean, it's Germany after all, you know, that's where we're quite strong, but also commerce, entertainment, and robotics. So as you can see, it's always quite varied, but there's definitely a few main pillars emerging in Berlin. The local ecosystem is not only made up of research institutes and universities, but there's always a strong focus on AI community. So that being, on the one hand, labs and spaces, so physical community, and on the other hand, events and community, meetups and all of that. I mean, we're already part of Rise of AI today, which is obviously one of the main AI events in Berlin and also a strong community builder. But then there's also, for example, the AI Monday, which is a regular meetup series that I also co-organize, where we bring together AI applications with just like a general public. Then we also have the Deep Berlin community. They also have a conference every year and a very strong community as well. And the Data Natives conference, for example, that are also internationally connected. So as you see, that's one part. That we always have those, like the element of events and, you know, like actually going out, meeting people, bringing the news of new AI research to the bigger audience. And then on the other hand, another trend that I've also been observing over the last year is the opening up of more and more research labs and spaces. I think the number one project that's happening at the moment, safe to say, Mirantic's AI campus. Adrian Loch already gave an introduction to that today. For those of you interested, do check it out. It's one of, like a new AI campus opening up next year. But then we also have many AI companies sitting, for example, in the Drivery, and then a lot of research and development labs by major companies also opening up. So for example, the Amazon Development Lab or Google Research Lab, it's all situated in Berlin. And even major global companies focusing on Berlin to maybe also profit from this vibrant ecosystem over here. As AI innovation manager, in my role, I support this vibrant ecosystem by connecting stakeholders and also growing the network. I do this by organizing events such as, for example, the AI Monday that I've already mentioned, and tailored workshops for companies wanting to implement AI. I'm also in charge of the AI Berlin website, where you can find out more about the AI ecosystem. This is where we always publish news and stories about events and new technology being developed here. And the major focus is also to create visibility for our local ecosystem. So as you've seen, there's a lot to manage, and it's always a good challenge. But where is all of this headed? So Berlin is very diverse, as you know, and one of the major projects would be to bundle AI activities in Berlin to bring stakeholders together to speak with one voice. The idea is to have one website, one landing page one kind of community as an overarching community that could connect all stakeholders over here. And that would also make it easier for expats or companies not located in Berlin to get an idea of what exactly is happening here on a regular basis, so that you always get the newest AI or the best AI news on this one, yeah, kind of website. And we've already started with that. So we have the AI Berlin website, but this is like going further. And I think overall, it's safe to say that the Berlin AI ecosystem already has a lot to offer. However, it's more important now than ever that we continue to attract new talent to the city. So that's also one key goal as next steps. We also have to make sure that the policies and regulations that protect citizens' rights, but they also enable new fields of research and applications to emerge. So I think that's also a very important step, not only for our local AI ecosystem, but obviously for all AI development, and something we should all work for together. And with all the growing AI initiatives and corporate landscape, it's also essential to continue collaborating and exchange AI knowledge across borders. Also, one of many important next steps. For companies looking to get involved in the Berlin AI ecosystem, Berlin Partner can offer support. So Berlin Partner can offer with location search, for example, or also business immigration and visa. They can also help you with recruitment. Berlin Partner can help you out with public funding schemes, which are always a little bit complicated, but very attractive, and help you with their business innovation package to also get involved in local ecosystems. And not only locally, but also get connected internationally, for example, with other EU countries. If you want to learn more about that, do get in touch. And you can, for example, contact my colleague, Friedemann Lotz, whose contact details are shown below. Or you can always contact me. I'm Charlotte Seiler, Innovation Manager, and I am very happy to take any questions, or you can contact me afterwards and let's exchange.
Great, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Charlotte. I don't see any questions in the chat, so I might ask you one if that's fine.
Sure. Go ahead.
So when it comes to networking, and I always thought I would never ask a pandemic question, but I have to ask one here. So you're doing all these amazing events, all these things are happening, but what happens actually, what has changed now during the pandemic? How do people that are new to the ecosystem can actually connect well?
Yes, I think that's a very good question. And it's been a major challenge over the last year, because before we were organizing so many meetups, and you know how it is, it's super easy to get to know people, but it also made it easier to connect internationally. So I hope also to use this conference to get in touch with people from all over the world. And I already got a request from Australia, so that's starting quite nicely, right? Maybe it wouldn't have been that easy before. And I'm very impressed also by the local ecosystem to see how they managed to put all those real events into the virtual realm, and especially Rise of AI, I think, is doing a great job here. So thanks for organizing.
And I have a very interesting question here. I'm from the city of Bremen, but somebody asked, how far behind is Hamburg from Berlin in terms of the ecosystem?
Do you mean in distance or in terms of?
I guess it's distance. No, probably it's if you know anything about the AI ecosystem in Hamburg and in comparison to Berlin.
To be fair, I haven't been in touch that much with the AI ecosystem in Hamburg, but I know that they're also organizing a lot, and also having a very strong contact to their local corporate sphere. So, for example, I know that they're hosting AI innovation breakfast, or they used to before Corona. So I feel there's a lot going on as well. And if you want to learn more, I'm also happy to exchange about that later.
And I can say from the venture capital perspective, Berlin is definitely bigger, and we also see a lot around Aachen and in the south, Munich, for example. It's usually around the universities. But I think we all work together anyways. But maybe extend that question. I have an AI company in Israel and I have an AI company in Finland who actually moved to Berlin, Ultimate AI. How are you connecting those ecosystems with each other? Because I mean, everybody's saying in the Silicon Valley, AI is far more advanced. Maybe Israel is also not too bad. Are you doing that as well?
Yeah, I know that there's some initiatives. For example, the Future of AI conference was quite big in Berlin last year, organized also by the Israel AI ecosystem. So there are a lot of links and there is a lot happening. But as always, it's always safe to say there's room for improvement. And especially those international ties, I think, are in the AI research are most important because we cannot, as one country, further the research. We have to work together.
Cool. And again, my Christmas question. So Christmas is coming up, and you can make a wish. So what should happen? Do we need more conferences? Do we need more social networks talking about AI? What's your personal wish?
So my personal wish is always that we speak more with one voice in Berlin. I wish for one overarching initiative that brings stakeholders together and that makes us even stronger in terms of communicating our great AI ecosystem to the world.
Cool. That's a very nice wish. Thank you. All right. Then
Thank
thanks
you.
very much for being here.